All right.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Omnibros Live on a Sunday. Coffee with us. I have a cup of coffee, and you are joining us, so thank you for being with us Sunday afternoon. I am Omnidog, joined by my partner in crime, Gabe loves not. There he is. Gabe loves to put that GIF up or whatever it is. Yeah. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing great, Jess. It's pronounced GIF. Only the crazy people, though. That's for crazy people.
GIF? Okay, that nice picture of Salma. And we have the privilege of having a special guest to interview. That is writer Frank Gogol. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me back.
Well, we like having you back. We like having you on the show. One thing, you're a nice guy. Second thing, you're a good writer. So it's
okay. That part's true. That part's true.
So let me talk about in-stock trades first, because they're the ones that make this happen.
My favorite.
Yes, instocktrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. At the end of every month, they are kind enough to give us a $50 gift card to give away to a lucky viewer. And $50 or more in an order in the United States gets you free shipping. And if you've been buying any of these Omnis during Omnigeddon recently, you know how important free shipping is. It's a big deal. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's instocktrades.com. So that's that. We love instocktrades.com. And we love this book, Dead End Kids.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. And I know where grief is, but I just couldn't grab it on my way in. Okay, that's what grief looks like. Yeah. And you are here to talk about the sequel to Dead End Kids, or are you here to talk about No Heroin, or both?
We could talk about whatever. No Heroin just finished up its run, sort of. The third issue is kind of coming out a couple different times because of distribution issues, but for all intents and purposes, the book is done coming out, which is why we jumped onto my next book, which is the sequel to Dead End Kids. So we can talk about it all. You can ask some real personal stuff too. Like I don't care.
Are you married?
I am. It's great.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it happened last year, September, and I'm really glad I pushed for the wedding last year instead of this year.
Smart.
Yeah, my wife wanted it this year, and I said no. But that was not because I knew that there was a pandemic coming or anything. I just knew that my con schedule this year was going to be really, really, really busy, which it turned out not to be. But all things considered, it was the right choice to do it last year.
Yeah, and savor that victory over your wife, that you got a say in something. And
that was the last one.
Yeah.
That's it. Good job.
My dad, when we were we went out for drinks a couple days before the wedding when he flew into San Francisco to kind of get settled and do a little sightseeing. And he pulled me aside and he said, you asked this girl to marry you. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that was the decision you made. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, savor it. That was the last one you'll ever make.
Yeah, cashed in all your chips on that one.
Yeah. Technically, I didn't ask her. She said yes before I could. So, anyway, I got married and it's great.
Well, that's good.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's see. We can, before we talk, okay, so everybody needs to go out, first of all, and get Dead End Kids, which is collected now. So we'll promo that, the first Dead End Kids, which is a great story, and I believe it did very well selling, right? It sold well enough to justify getting it collected.
Yeah, it sold really well. It sold way better than we had expected. I go into everything with really managed expectations. So this was my first mini. I'd never done something like this before. I wasn't really sure how to get the word out or anything. It was a lot of learning on the go, and It was really crazy how well it did. We went to 3 printings on issue 1. I think there were something insane like 25 variants. All told, it sold I think over 10,000 copies of issue 1. So yeah, that's not bad. I'll take it.
Well, dude, I remember I was working at Torpedo Still at the time, and that issue 1 was, it's a small press book, unfamiliar named creators. I mean, only the cool people really know who Frank Gogol is. And that first issue I was selling those. I marked up because I was like, oh, Frank Gogol's my buddy. Of course, I'm going to order a bunch of his book for my store. We ended up selling those books for like $20-$30 a pop after a while. Like it became a hot back issue.
Yeah, there was a point where it was going for like $40 or $50 on eBay, and people were buying it. I remember.
How does that make you feel? Like, what kind of that's got to be such a cool experience or feeling or something.
Oh, for sure. I mean, honestly, like the whole experience was pretty overwhelming. There was a period for about 8 weeks when the book came out, the first issue, where I had retailers calling my personal cell phone, like asking if I can get them copies of the first issue. And A, I can't. I'm not a distributor. But B, how did they get my phone number? And C, it's like every day, like at 8:00 my time, which is 11 on the East Coast. It's just like once stores open, like it was like clockwork. I was able to build some really cool relationships with retailers though. But yeah, the whole thing was excitingly kind of like overwhelming. Like it's a good thing, like good problems to have. But still a little scary. Like, because then there's like this huge expectation when you do another book. Like if you hit a home run, like as a rookie at your first time at bat, like people are going to be watching you a lot more carefully the second time around. And No Heroine came out this year, and I technically wrote that book first. So like, it's not even like necessarily my best writing compared. But that really popped off well too. About the same. The aftermarket stuff wasn't as good, but the pre-orders were double, and the retailer response and critical response was really, really good. So going into this sequel, I'm extra nervous now because I think there's going to be a level of expectation because of the name of the series, and we'll see what happens. I like this book a lot better than the first one, so I'm pretty excited to get it out there.
Oh, that's great to hear. As long as it's not Dark Knight Strikes Again, I think you're safe. As far as the sequel goes.
Sequels are something I thought a lot about, because there are very few that I can think of that I think are at least as good as the original, if not better. Like there's the Dark Knight, T2, Aliens, and that's kind of where the list ends. Outside
Meatballs too.
Yeah. So it's more times than not, it falls flat or is bad. And I think that's like a money thing, really. Like, the first one did really well. You want to cash in on the success, and you kind of rush your product. And here I am like a year later saying, oh, we got a sequel. So, but no, we took the time to make sure that this was a good story and that it was told the right way, and that it was something that I would be proud to put out. Like I had a lot of control over when this came out. It could have come out in 5 years, or it could have come out when it's coming out. And like that freedom kind of made me feel like I needed to work a little less to worry about stuff like that. And I could actually worry about the story.
And you've got the unfortunate job of putting out, well, now it's over, but you put out your second comic, No Heroine, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot of stores were closed. Diamond shut down. I mean, there was no distribution for a while. And here you are not only putting out a comic book, but you've got artists that have committed to doing particular variants for you. So my question, I have two questions. At some point, did you get nervous about No Heroine debuting, and how did it end up doing?
I definitely got nervous. So I'm a pretty sort of numbers driven person. I think that's just like a good approach to the business, and making comics is definitely business. So I set kind of goals for myself, kind of arbitrary goals that I don't really have any control over in the end, like how many pre-orders we'll get. Like that's just not something I can really affect, but it's something, it's kind of like a North Star. So I said that the goal for No Heroine #1 was to do double the pre-orders of Dead End Kids #1. And I felt pretty good about it coming into the year. I started doing the media blitz like real early back in January. The book came out in July. And then things started getting real bad, real quick. And I like to go into things with managed expectations, like I said. So that number, double really started to come down and was like, all right, well, if we do 10% more, and then it's like, if we do as many, and then it's like, if we do half of what we did, like all things considered, that would be a win. And like, at one point I was like, all right, this book's going to be a wash. Like, it's no one's fault. It's a good book, but the world is on fire here in California. It literally was and is. So I try to be honest with myself and make decisions based on like things other than my gut. But the book did incredible. Like it ended up coming out a week late, which all told, like can't complain about that. Basically on time. Pre-orders were double. We hit the mark. It was actually a little more than double. We did, I think, 52%, which again, incredible. The retailer reaction was superb. Like, again, I had people reaching out to me asking if I can get them copies. There's still retailers asking for copies of #1. We've already gone to second printings on all 3 issues. We're talking about a third printing for the first issue.
Nice.
We had some incredible talent on the retailer exclusives. We had a set from Peach Momoko, and we got her like right as she was blowing up, like before that, but it came out right around the time she got real hot. And
would that be these?
Yeah, so those are the sketch versions. We did that as a charity piece, which was really cool. Hive Comics, who put out the Peach covers, we did a sketch set of all 3 covers, moderately priced. I think it was $50 for all 3. And then half of the proceeds went to charities chosen by Hive and Peach and myself. And we ended up raising, I think, about $10K, which was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was, and that's another thing. Like this book really gave me a lot of opportunities to kind of do really cool stuff like that. Back in the beginning of the pandemic, we did a special variant that only comic shops got to really kind of bring in sort of cash at a time when they weren't getting direct distribution. And like those were selling for 100, 150 a piece. Like people just went wild over. Yeah.
Which one was that?
So we did an announcement cover by Chris Callahan. It was like a red vampire cover. And then we did a virgin version of that we distributed to comic shops for free. Select comic shops. We couldn't get them all, but and then that just did really well. Source Point really worked to get books into stores at no cost, and that was took some private fundraising that I was a part of. Like this whole situation was really bad, but a lot of really cool, good stuff came out of it, which I'm super proud of and happy we were able to do.
Here is this is the regular cover.
That is the second print. The regular
print. Okay.
Yeah. So all the second prints are basically reversions of the first print, but with Kayla, our main character, skeleton.
Oh yeah. I have both of these versions.
Yeah. And that's a thing that like I wanted to do. Like I don't like second print covers usually. They sometimes they're a little lazy feeling to me. Sometimes they're just interior art recolored or the same cover in black and white. And I like when the first printing and second printing are very similar, so that way the people who buy one or miss one kind of get the same product but with a little twist. So we came up with this kind of ongoing gimmick, for lack of a word, that Kayla would be skeletonified on all 3 covers, and so you kind of get the same cover but it's a little bit different for the people who want to grab both. And I think that's a good way to do it, just so it's a comic. Like it's shouldn't be this whole big hard thing for people to be able to pick up and to be able to recognize that it's the same book. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, I was trying. I don't dabble a lot in variant covers, but I for some reason I mostly because I know you and I knew it was going to be a good story and I was interested in it a lot. I really tried as hard as I could to try and get as many different variants of it as I could.
Good luck.
There are so many, I can't do it.
I just finished designing the trade, and we put a cover gallery in the back.
Good.
Excluding versions of a piece, like virgin versus trade dress versus metal or whatever, there were 25 different covers, including the second prints and the main covers.
The one that I got that I almost feel like framing because it's metal. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it.
The Sun cover, yeah. Sun's
that one's great.
So talented. Those were super limited too. I think there were only 25 of those, maybe 50. Oh yeah, you're getting that shine on there. That looks great. I haven't actually seen that cover in any version in real life.
This is a badass cover. I mean, just looking at this is really cool.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I really appreciate that cover for a lot of reasons, but one of the things that I set down for the artists was that we couldn't make Kayla look too sexy. In the story, she's a recovering drug addict, and like that is not something you want to, make sexy, right? Like you want to. But I think that cover really straddles that line between making her attractive while not over sexifying her. Right. Is that a word? Yeah, we worked really hard to make sure that the covers weren't overly sexy, and there were definitely a couple I rejected because you just don't want to have that on the book and sell the wrong idea about it.
So on these variants, you got to say on all of them?
No. I do try to be really involved with the exclusive covers process and the variant covers process. I am a little bit particular about how my work is represented. Like this is something I've poured blood, sweat, and tears and all that into, and for a cover to be put on one of the books that doesn't represent what the book's about or misrepresents it, so it looks like another thing. Imagine if you picked up a My Little Pony book and it had monsters and photorealistic art on the cover, and then you opened up the inside and it was the cartoony little ponies. You'd feel like it was a bait and switch, and that's not something I ever want somebody who picks up one of my books to feel like. I try really hard to work with the creators who do the covers, just because I think the collaborative process is more fruitful than somebody working in isolation, especially if I can go in there and say, hey, we can stick this little Easter egg in there or something, make it a little more rewarding. That said, it doesn't work out every time. Some retailers are really not for that kind of collaboration. They just kind of want to get the cover done and get it on sale, and that's fine too. Like I said earlier, it's a business, but I do appreciate when people, retailers and artists are willing to loop me in on the covers for my books, because I think you get a better product. That's where the peach covers came from. Some of the other really nice ones, I don't know if you saw the Zoe Lachey ones, but that Trinity Comics did, but those are gorgeous, and I was looped in on that, and I think that was helpful.
Yeah, I was going to mention Trinity because I've been. I think you are the one. You're the one that let me know about them, and I think just in time for me to look at those variants when they were going on sale. And how did you develop? Trinity doesn't have a physical comic shop, but I guess they're not, their office or whatever isn't too far away from me. I don't know much about them, but they have been putting out a lot of really cool variants of really cool books, like Something is Killing the Children and things like that. And your book, how did you hook up with them in particular to get the particular variants?
I mean, it's a little different for each retailer, and there are different kinds of retailers. There's brick and mortar stores. There's online stores. There are people or retailers that only do exclusive covers. So they're not really retailers so much as kind of resellers. So it varies from one type of retailer to the next. And then each relationship is kind of a little bit different, develops a little bit different. On Dead End Kids, we had a decent amount of retailer exclusives, and those were opportunities that I didn't necessarily take part in developing. When the time came, I was part of some of the development of the covers, but a lot of those retailers had existing relationships with SourcePoint Press or heard about the success of the book and wanted to kind of be part of it. So this time around, because Dead End Kids did so well, a lot of people came to me and came to SourcePoint way ahead and said, "Hey, what's Frank's next book?" Which is awesome.
That is great.
And so we were able to kind of cherry pick some of the retailers that we thought would be really beneficial to work with. Because at the end of the day, like a variant cover is marketing, is what it is. It's a fun collectible, but at the end of the day, from where I'm sitting, it's a way to get people on board with the book, grow awareness for the book, and so that makes decisions like who the artist is, what the retailer is, a little more important. Like if a retailer has 500 subscribers at their store and a huge online presence, like they're a really good boon, somebody you want to work with because they can help get the word out about the book. Or if you have an artist like Peach on the book, who's got this massive uptick in popularity, like that can be really beneficial for the book too. So like it's all pretty organic. I don't think any two retailer relationships and experiences have been too similar for the most part. I've worked with a couple people multiple times now. Hive Comics, who did the Peach covers, are formerly Anomaly Comics, and they did a cover for Dead End Kids. They'll be doing a set for Dead End Kids 2. Those guys are really good. I like working with them. And they bring really great artists to the table. So so like I said, it's different for each one.
Yeah, that I was really not shocked, but surprised and really happy for you. But right at the height of her popularity, you got Peach.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Like I think I knew Peach from cons, and like Garrett Gunn, who's a SourcePoint writer as well, does Franklin and Ghost, and he's got a book called Cold Dead Hands coming out right now. I remember being at a con with him last year and him bringing over a commission Peach had done of his characters. Like this is way before most people knew who Peach was. And I was like, oh, that's pretty nice art. And like, that was like kind of like the only experience I ever had knowing, and I had totally forgotten about it. And then when the guys at Hive came and said, yeah, we're going to use this artist, I said, all right, I trust you guys. And they had been working with her, I think, since February. So like a fair amount before her cover started getting really popular. And it really worked out. Like it's not anything anyone planned. It's kind of just serendipity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great that you got so many awesome artists to do all the variants, and that's great marketing for the book, and that it did well during the pandemic. That is, I would, if I were you, I would feel pretty darn good about the book.
I feel incredibly blessed. Like I don't use the word blessed very often. I'm not particularly religious, but like that's the word that I keep coming to when I think about it. And maybe I'm getting a little religious because I feel like I'm being taken care of.
Well, you one thing I know about you is you do definitely work the shoe leather and pound the floor a lot to sell your book. So it's not like you're just sending out manuscripts and hoping for stuff. You really have been working hard, totally pounding the pavement for at least 3 years. So I know that you put a lot of hard work into it. Do you want to talk about the sequel to this book?
Sure. So let's back up and talk about the first one first, because that context really makes the second one a little more interesting. So the first volume of Dead End Kids, which Jess is graciously holding up for me as a prop, is the story of 3 kids in 1999 who are trying to solve their friend's murder. So think Stand By Me meets the Hardy Boys, but a little darker, more violent, and sort of a coming of age story for kids in the 90s and early 2000s. It's sort of a love letter to Stand By Me and Stephen King's It, but also just a little bit my version of that. But at its core, it's a story about childhood trauma. The murder mystery element is kind of secondary. It's there. It's part of the story, but I really wanted to tell a story about kids dealing with stuff at home who sort of don't have anyone else but each other to kind of deal with that stuff. Like we've been talking about, the book it really did very well. The trade is sold really well. It came out the last week before comic shops shut down in March, which was just a stroke of luck. But it sold really well. The story was really well received. And about this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier, between issues 1 and 2 coming out, SourcePoint came to me and said, "Hey, this is our best-selling #1 issue so far ever. It's done really well. We would be very open to publishing more of this if you have another story to tell." And at the time, I was pretty overwhelmed with the reaction to the book. I was in the middle of doing No Heroine, sort of finishing writing it and starting production on it. And I was just honestly a little bit tired coming into the year. I did 20 cons last year. I did 20 store signings in states that weren't the one I live in. Like pretty much every weekend leading up to my wedding for like 6 months, I wasn't home. And then I got married and was planning a wedding around all this. So I was tired. And they said, "Hey, do you want to do a sequel?" And I didn't have another story. For anyone who's read the book, it's got a pretty fine point on it. To tell another story in there would take some mental gymnastics and a little bit of creativity. But also it would be hard to do it without undercutting the ending, which I really love. So I was hesitant to do a cover or another volume. I was tired. I was working on something else. But I don't like to close doors on myself. So I said maybe, sort of like a soft maybe, just kind of leave the door cracked open a little bit so I can come back and after thinking about it. So after everything winded down last year, the book finished coming out. My wedding was in the rear view and cons were over for the year. I had some time to think in the late fall and early winter and started thinking about what a sequel would look like. And at some point last year, between cons and on flights, I had watched True Detective season 3. I love the first series. I love the third series. And I really like that sort of way they do it, where it's, same look and feel. Like you definitely know you're watching True Detective, but, different place, different cast, different crime, different era. And that was a pretty freeing idea to me. Like I liked the idea of kind of approaching a sequel that way. Because it wouldn't mess up the ending of the first book. It wouldn't feel shoehorned, or hopefully it wouldn't, but not in that way. And it felt right. It was definitely the right move. After that, it became about kind of finding the right way to tell the story, like what the sort of heart of it was. With the first one, like I said, it's childhood trauma and growing up in kind of like sort of a poor white suburb. In No Heroine, it's very much about the struggle of a recovering addict and sort of what that journey looks like. So for me, I had to find sort of what I wanted to talk about. Like I knew the story, but I needed to know why I was telling it. And it's really personal, honestly. This one is a lot more personal than the first one. So the pitch for it, and then we can kind of talk about where it came from, is it's 3 kids in 2008 who are all the sort of loved ones of people who died on or because of 9/11. So we've got 3 kids. Tori is the daughter of a first responder who died on the scene at Ground Zero on September 12th. We've got Brian, who is the brother of an Army soldier who died in Afghanistan a few years after 9/11. And we have Amna, who is a Pakistani-American young woman who is dealing with sort of the exacerbated racial tensions in the wake of 9/11. And for me, like, I didn't want to tell a 9/11 story. Like I don't know, it's very hollow to me. Like I hold it in a very high place of respect. I grew up in central New Jersey on the coast, and on a clear day, I could look out across the Raritan Bay and see lower Manhattan. So like on 9/11, I remember standing on the beachfront in my town and looking across and being able to see a lot of what was going on. We had one of those sightseeing binoculars, put a quarter into it. You can telescope look across. So it's really close to me. It's really close to my family. I grew up in a family of firefighters and EMTs. I had schoolmates who lost parents in the World Trade Center. So it's all very close. And I didn't want to write a story about that and kind of like, it felt like I was cashing in on tragedy. Sort of tragedy porn is the word I keep using for stories like that. But I did want to kind of explore the sort of ripple effects, like how did that affect kids who sort of lived through it, and what that looked like a few years later. Because I know in my personal life, I was 13, almost 14 at the time. I was in 8th grade, and I know that, for the last almost 20 years, it's really impacted me in a lot of ways, and impacted our country and in the world in a lot of ways. And it's this really big event that we don't necessarily talk about enough. And it just felt like, to me, something that I couldn't stop thinking about, and an angle into the story that meant something to me. So like between finding the format with True Detective and coming to this, this sort of heart of the story with looking at the effects of 9/11 on kids, I sort of landed where I wanted to be. The last piece was sort of figuring out the crime element. We did the murder mystery. I love that story. I didn't really want to do it again. So this time around, it's a heist story.
Heist. I love a good heist story.
Yeah, they're so hard to write, but it was very, very rewarding to have it finally come together and be able to kind of see the parts moving on the page. I'm really proud of what we came up with, because the cast is teenagers, like young teenagers, 13, 14, 15, with no cars and no technology and no money, and then they still have to pull this thing off. And we had to get really creative and create really cool, interesting obstacles for them, and that was a lot of fun.
Why is it 2008? What's the reason for the setting of 2008?
So there's a larger narrative of Dead End Kids, sort of like a saga in my mind, and I wanted to move the story forward a little more. So 2008 is a little bit arbitrary. Honestly, the reason I picked it was because it was far enough away that the broad strokes of the sort of what was going on in these kids' lives would be really developed at that point. But also, it's the year that The Dark Knight came out, which is one of my favorite sequels, and it's got a heist right in the beginning of the movie. So it just, kind of like not really any reason other than that it was a little bit further down the line. We could see how it was affecting these kids. But yeah, there's this isn't the last Dead End Kids story unless something stops me. So I know what the last one will be, and we had to start moving toward what that would be.
You thought about going back? Like,
I did.
1999, 2008, you thought maybe like something maybe out of your generation, 70s, something like that?
It's possible. It's possible. Like I said, I know what the last one is, and so I have at least a plan for 3 volumes. But I like writing these kind of child-fueled crime stories. So like, I don't know that I'll ever stop unless somebody makes me. So I really love the idea of telling one in the 70s. Like, I feel like that era and the aesthetic and Maynard's art would go really well together. But for now, we're kind of just sticking to the plan.
When's Dead End Kids 2020 pandemic story coming out?
Never. Never.
So the first Dead End Kids was 1999, and that's because that's the year The Matrix came out, right?
Yeah, 100%. Best first movie ever.
There you go.
Agreed. So if you want to do something on the 70s, I'm definitely your guy to help with the aesthetics of what it was like to grow up in the 70s with 3 channels and a rotary dial phone. So
excellent. I will call you in as a producer. I've gotten really in the habit of bringing people on to consult for things. Because as I've written more, I've written stuff that's outside of sort of my knowledge base or sort of my experience, like writing Amna, who's Pakistani American. Like, I'm obviously not Pakistani American, and I want to do that in an authentic way that honors the people who I'm writing about. Because like, some stories aren't mine to tell, and if I'm gonna sort of write towards some of those things, like it's good to do it in an authentic way and make sure I know what I'm talking about, because it would be garbage to do it any other way. So yeah, if I need an elderly person to help.
Elderly, take it easy.
I'm sorry.
Jiminy crickets. elderly.
just base it in 1978 that's when Star Wars came out, right? So yeah, it can kind of just jump around with different movies.
77.
Yeah, that's going to be the way we decide the years.
If you need an older comics fan to tell you what it was like, that not elderly. Fuck.
I guess that's senior. I thought I took the high road there.
You did not.
Okay.
You couldn't have said anything worse.
I will. Next time I'll say it right.
Old fart.
Older than me. Someone older than me. How's that?
Geriatric.
This format for Dead End Kids sounds really exciting. That you have, and that you have sort of a framework that you want to keep moving on with. I think that's really exciting. Let me back up. Who is the artist and how did you hook up with he and or she?
All right. So I don't know how many Rick and Morty fans we have here, but they did a fun heist episode last season. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. But you got to get the team back together. It's always about getting the team back together, right, for one more job. So the whole original team is returning. You got that garbage writer Frank Gogol writing the thing. You got Nanad Svitikainen doing the art and color again. Sean Reinhardt is on the letters. And then for the covers, we've got Chris Madd, who did the covers for the first series and also did the interiors for No Heroine. Chris is a buddy of mine. I love working with him. I love working with all these guys, and we've made something special. So yeah, it's the same team. Yeah, got the same guys in the same positions. We're gonna do a heist.
And
so,
go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of talk about the business side of things when it comes down to publishing your own comic. Basically, I mean, you're going through a publisher. So as a basically an independent creator, not only are you in charge of the writing duties, but obviously you're in charge of, it seems like everything. I was gonna say you're in charge of the marketing, you're in charge of the promoting. Like you travel a lot, you do a lot for your promoting. I've met you at cons. This is your 300th time on Omnibros Live. I
should get a belt, like a championship belt.
Yeah,
or like a punch card. Yeah.
Get a free sandwich.
Yeah. But what else is involved that people who aren't on the inside of things? Because you're a hustler. You have to hustle like this. Yeah. What else is there that you are in charge of, or that you kind of have to project manage?
It's crazy. Like I've been doing this comics thing for 4.5 years. It'll be 5 years in April, which it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years. And 5 years ago, I sold my Omnibus collection to help pay for Grief to get made, and like I was a huge part of the group and everything all back. It seems not that long ago, but it's 5 years later. I'm still learning like all the different things that are involved, and it's you're constantly learning new skill sets and being sort of thrown out of the pan into the fire with things you don't know that you need to do. So like, the production side of things, like after you finish writing, as the writer, if you're not working with an editor, which I most of the time don't do, I'm finding the artists, I'm finding the colorists, the inkers, like whatever, roles we need filled. I'm in charge of essentially hiring for the positions. And then after that, I'm the project manager. I'm making sure everyone is on task and focused and producing on a regular basis, and making sure the handoff between, say, the artist and the colorist and the letter are more seamless, and tracking all that progress. Understanding, print specifications, like making sure the resolution on the art is high enough to print clearly and won't come out fuzzy or anything when it's finally printed. The marketing side of thing that's probably my favorite part. That's not the writing, and marketing is my day job, and I do a lot to make sure that people hear about the books. Early on, I developed sort of this philosophy that you can be the next Alan Moore, you can have written the next Watchmen or V for Vendetta, but if you don't have any way to tell people about it, it doesn't matter. Like nobody's going to buy a book they've never heard of. So you need to be out there making sure people know about it. So I've just spent so many hours of my life sort of trying to develop and understand, what the marketing process for comics looks like, because there's not really one way to do it or even like a playbook, and that's something that I very desperately wanted to develop. So it's podcasts, YouTube interviews, like learning how to schedule those things and build those relationships. Same thing with retailers. You got to let retailers know about the book, and with retailers, you got sort of like this weird chicken and the egg situation where if a reader hears about a book and goes into a shop and pre-orders it, it might get the book on the retailer's radar, right? But on the other side of it, retailers are like the number one way, for word of mouth to happen. They can tell 50 customers or 100 customers about this cool book. So it's very much like, which happens first and makes the other happen. And you got to be covering both bases. I need to let readers know about the book. I need to let retailers know about the book. So developing sort of processes for getting the word out those ways. Like I've built up Facebook in particular to be like kind of like a machine for getting the word out to both, which has been really cool. I've sort of sacrificed my personal Facebook profile in the name of the comic gods, but so I don't see my cousin's pictures or anything anymore. But when I post about No Heroine #3 selling out and going to a second print, a lot of retailers know right away, and a lot of people can ask the retailers if they're ordering copies and if they will order copies. So it is what it is. I didn't like Facebook that much anyway. But I mean, it's a constant grind, and like I try to be really innovative. Like I work for a startup, and we do a lot of experimenting, kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I kind of take that approach to comics. Every time I have a new book, I try something new. So like, for instance, with No Heroine, we did a ratio variant. It was a 1 in 5, so really low threshold. But it definitely, based on anecdotal feedback from people I talked to and retailers, like it really drove sales. So for Dead End Kids 2, we're going to do a 1 in 5 for every issue, and there'll be a connecting set of covers. So, really kind of cool. Experimenting with like collectability there. We're also doing a 1 in 10, sort of growing the effort and seeing if that works as well. So, I mean, there's just a million things. And because I have like such a big imagination and really driven, like that list just only ever gets bigger, like every time I wake up.
So are you taking retailer exclusive covers now for Dead End Kids 2?
They're all locked in. Okay. We knew we were doing this for a while, and actually, like when Dead End Kids 1 came out, a lot of people reached out and said, "Hey, if you do a sequel, we want in on this." So we had a wait list actually, which is kind of cool.
If I knew, man, I would have got Torpedo plugged in with you or something.
Next time.
Let me know ahead of time.
When is issue 1 coming out?
So we are talking in the middle of October. Issue 1 will solicit in November, so in a couple weeks. So that's when you want to get your pre-orders in. Pre-order or forever hold your peace, because I can't get you copies of #1, no matter who you are. So it'll solicit in November. The first issue will come out in January. Each successive issue will solicit the month after November. So #2 in December, #3 in January, #4 in February. It'll run for 4 issues, so it'll come out from January to April. And when April rolls around, we'll be talking about my next book. That's already on the calendar, but
wow,
getting a little ahead of myself. We mentioned some of the covers. This is the first one. Again, we got Chris Madback. We got the same trade dress. A little bit of a different kind of approach to the colors. We wanted this to kind of feel like its own thing while still being part of the Dead End Kids sort of aesthetic. So this is the cover A. This is the 1 in 5 incentive by Ryan Kincaid. It's part of a 4-cover connecting set. I've seen the first 3 covers so far. I know what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's going to be gorgeous. And I think these are going to be hard to come by. Like the first one, I think a lot of people will be able to get, but then, as pre-orders tend to go down from issue to issue, that's the way it works. There will be fewer of these available. But good.
Yes, I want to call my comic retailer, my LCS, and I want to say, I want on my pull list all Dead End Kids and its variants. Is that right then?
Yes. Yeah. For these ones, when we were doing the 1 in 5 covers for No Heroine, what I noticed a lot of retailers doing and encouraged some other retailers to do is selling 5-packs of cover A for like the really hardcore collectors or the resellers, and then throwing in, the guaranteed 1 in 5 incentive. And there was a shop in Massachusetts, Paper Asylum, that sold like 300 copies of number 1 doing it that way.
Nice.
And it was still impossible to find when it came out.
Wow.
But they said that it was like better than their Batman numbers, which is like the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No. Continue on. I'll wait till you're finished.
Yeah. So we've got the cover A by Chris Mad. We've got the 1 in 5 by Ryan Kincaid. That's a connecting set. And then for the 1 in 10, sort of new experiment, it's sort of tradition at this point that I'll have a cover by our next artist, who's just wonderful and eerie, and he's been nice enough to work with me every time. But we've got a 1 in 10 cover by Ben Templesmith.
Yeah.
And this is top 5, if not top 2 of my favorite covers for any book I've ever done. Ben really sort of captured just the feel of the book and like his own weird style. And it's beautiful. It really is eerily beautiful.
Yeah.
This will be our 1 in 10. So for every 10 shop orders, they can order one of these. And I suspect these will be a little bit hard to come by too. I'm not expecting crazy pre-order numbers for this book. I got really managed expectations. I'm shooting to do triple what we did on Dead End Kids, or 50% more than No Heroine. I'm just kind of trying to bat my own level and level up and take my time. But yeah, those are the covers. They're all incredible. We've got some retailer exclusives coming. I can't show any of the art for that yet because that's sort of being done and settled still. But we have some retailer partners. Hive Comics is doing another cover. And we're taking a different approach to the retailer stuff. Every retailer is doing a set of covers for 1, 2, 3, and 4 rather than 50 retailers doing a number 1 with like you maybe saw in Department of Truth or something, Killing the Children. We took a smaller group of retailers and had them commit to sets of covers to really do cool things like connecting covers and themed covers and stuff like that, and give artists a nice chunk of work for the next 4 to 6 months. And it's another experiment. We'll see what happens. Some of the concepts that are coming in and for like how the covers will be related, and the retailers are really cool. And I'm excited about that. We'll see how it goes. You never know. But like I said, Hive Comics is going to be one of them. El Rey Comics is another partner. Trinity Comics is doing another set. And then there's a couple more that I can't talk about yet. But over the next few weeks, couple of months, we'll release more info on that. Start releasing some of the art. I'm going to do checklists for the covers this time around because people like Jess exist and they want to get all of them. And
please keep me posted. I want all of them.
Yeah. Like I said, we're doing some really cool stuff and we're trying to do some new things. I look a lot at what Boom does with their covers and their marketing strategy, and I really do steal a lot from them because I think they really are leading the way with that. So if you see me doing like Something is Killing the Children homages, I've probably gone too far and stopped me. But short of that, we're doing some really cool stuff that I'm excited about.
Oh, that's great.
I'm going to see more Ben Templesmith working with you.
Yeah, that relationship is so crazy to me. I'm a huge Ben fan. like 30 Days a Night it's definitely not one of the best books I've ever read, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And it's still a very good book. And I really like Steve Niles is not the standout in that book to me. Ben is, and like I've loved his art for so long. And Anomaly Comics did a Ben Templesmith cover for Dead End Kids number 1. And like I wasn't at all involved with developing that relationship or that cover. But I was able to use it at a con later to have Ben sign my copy because I was fangirling out, fanboying out. It's like, will you sign my comic that you drew a cover for? And like, I got to talking to him. Ben's just the nicest guy. He's incredibly handsome. He's got great accent. He's
always wears a suit.
Yeah, he's dapper as hell. But also really just friendly and approachable. Like you think. So, the guy who did the art for 30 Days a Night, which was, big movie. And like, you think he'd be like kind of an ego trip or kind of, hard to get in front of, but it really is just very approachable. First night I met him, we went out for tacos and drinks and like
that's awesome.
Hung out to the wee hours of the morning with the other guys from Source Point. It was in Houston last year. And then, he gave me his email, said, hey, you want to do something else together? Let's talk. When No Heroine rolled around, I was like, all right, we're doing a vampire book. Like we need Ben Templesmith to do a cover for this book. Like there's no way. And I reached out to him like 6 months earlier. I was like, this guy's got to be booked up. He's got to have a ton of shit on his plate. I was like, hey man, do you want to do this cover? And he didn't respond. And I was like, he must be busy. And then at the end of the week, like 3 days later, he sent me like 5 thumbnails. He's like, which one do you like?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then like I had the finished art like Monday. Like he's just so good and so fast. Same process with this one. I reached out. I was like, hey, we're doing another book. I'd love to have you on for a sequel cover. And he just sent me some thumbnails and just like, it's so easy with him. And that's so not what I expected. Like it's much easier to work with him as a high profile artist than it is to work with some indie artists. And I just find that so fascinating. But yeah, Ben is back and he will be here so long as he keeps answering my emails and having tacos with me.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. Life was so interesting before the pandemic.
I'm
I'm to go out and tacos with you now, but that's such a great story that you went out and got tacos with Ben Templesmith.
Yeah. He's the best. Like I really do enjoy everything about him.
Speaking of the pandemic, with you being such, pounding the pavement and such a hands-on approach to your marketing and your promotion of your books, I know Source Point is crazy about conventions. Like when the convention season is in high gear, you guys are at 2 to 3 different conventions a weekend, it seems like. With that said, and with 2020 being such a dumpster fire that it is in terms of convention and gatherings, how does that change your approach? Like, how are you adapting and shifting gears with this new book coming out?
Yeah. So there's kind of like 3 questions there, really.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Like you asked one question, but it's 3 questions. The first question is, what's happening because conventions are gone. And for me and for Source Point, like a huge source of income was swept away, like immediately. Less so for me. I usually lose money going to conventions, and that's just kind of something I accept because you'll never make as much as it costs to go, which is fine. Like that's the cost of being a creator, and I'm okay with that. But for Source Point, like they lost, they lost a bunch of money in like reservations because like, excuse me, Emerald City just rolled their money over to next year, right? They didn't actually get that money back. Excuse me, a little froggy over here. So like they've got a bunch of money tied up in sort of rolled over convention fees, and that number was in the tens of thousands of dollars. So that's the operating budget that was immediately gone. Sorry, geez. And then that's on top of not being able to put out new product because Diamond wasn't distributing and shops weren't open. So like they took huge hit, had to pivot really hard to an online model, and they really took that ball and ran with it. And like this has been their most lucrative year as a company to date, in spite of everything that's going on. That's just really a testament to the people running the business and their drive to put out good books and make sure people are able to read them. Jesus Christ.
You're okay.
Yeah, it's a little froggy. So the second question is sort of what am I doing? And the answer to that is basically the same thing, but like my version of it. Like I had to kind of pivot a little bit in-person pitching of a new comic, handing out postcards, stuff like that is a big part of the marketing, right? I go to 20 cons a year. That's thousands of people a weekend to tell about the book, and maybe not all of them pick up the book, but if a handful from each show does that, that's a pretty big dent in the old pre-order numbers. So I had to sort of find new ways to reach audiences that I hadn't thought of before. So I started doing more YouTube stuff. The YouTube channels, it's insane how many subscribers some of them have, like 250,000 people subscribed, and not every one of them is going to watch it. But if I can get on any one of those and talk about, the Suburban job for 20 minutes and a couple hundred of them think about getting the book, that's a pretty big get. And so doing more of that. I spent a lot of the year really networking with retailers. I've probably quadrupled or 5x my retailer network, which has been really good because they have a lot of insight into how books sell and what makes a good selling book, and having those conversations with them and they know where the readers are, because they're kind of going through the same thing, or were for a while when they couldn't sell books in person. There's a lot of retailers doing really cool stuff with online sales right now, which I think is innovative and smart. Space Cadets collection in Texas, Jen King, she's probably at the forefront of all that, and she's been incredibly gracious about looping me in and educating me on stuff I didn't know a lot about. So that's what I've been sort of been up to, kind of looking for new avenues that don't require in-person kind of interaction, which is too bad because I miss doing signings. So we've been doing things like mail-in signings, which have been a hassle, if I'm being honest, kind of like tracking people sending me their books and return shipping, and it's time consuming, but it is worthwhile in the long run if it makes those people lifetime fans, right? Like you do a small thing for somebody and they really appreciate it, and they continue to think about you and your books for forever. I know that when I first started doing comics, I was kind of surprised at how few creators were really into engaging with the audience. And like, it's nothing personal, like it's just their preference, but it always kind of turned me off as a reader. Like, I want to talk to you about this thing I love that you did. And I always said that I would continue to engage and seek out engagement and be the opposite of what I had experienced. And I think that's paid a lot of dividends. And it's time consuming, and it can be frustrating at times to respond to every Facebook message when you wake up and there's 20 every morning. But I think when you do stuff like that, it pays off in the long run. And my career has certainly grown, and I can't say that that's the thing that did it, but I don't think it's hurt.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Good to hear. I know you got to get ready to leave pretty soon.
Yeah. I got another one of these things. It never stops. But
hey,
thank you guys for having me.
Let us know what we can do to help. If you want, because I know how the ordering business works. This goes to solicits in November. If you want to come back on when initial orders are ready, or when FOC is ready, maybe we could pimp it out a little bit more for initial orders, because maybe we could get some people to hop on DCBS and do some pre-orders on there. You know how we work, man.
Yeah. So, and you know what? When a little more time has passed, I can talk about some of those exclusives. I can show off the art for the second issue. So I'm more than happy to do this on a semi-ongoing basis, and really, also anyone who's watching, if you're interested at all about the book and you have questions, absolutely feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter or Facebook friend request. If you're not flying a Nazi flag in your profile picture, I'll probably accept you.
Your next book as well.
Yeah.
Frank wrote Dead End Kids, which is available as a trade paperback.
$10.
Which is available as a trade paperback. He has No Heroin out in floppies right now.
Yep, that just finished up. The trade is actually going to solicit alongside Dead End Kids, The Suburban Job #1. So that'll be in solicits in November as well.
Okay, and he has Dead End Kids 2 coming out, as Gabe said. And so we are big fans of you, Frank, and we encourage everyone to go check all your stuff out, because it's very consistently good and enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
Well, thank you guys again for having me, and I would love to come back and talk more about it. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about the Invincible trailer. I was excited to chat about that.
Well,
I'll come back and rewatch what you guys had to say.
We'll talk about the Invincible show when you come back on.
There you go. Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being on.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Awesome, man. That was great to have Frank on.
Yeah.
Good for him, dude. I love knowing that a friend of ours that we've been interacting with from basically the jump start is just still hammering it out and still making it happen, and is still enthusiastic and excited about what he does. So
yeah, his dream, he's seeing his dream come true. We're watching it. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's an inspiration. Like,
yeah,
it makes me feel like I should be able to do my own comic book too, you know? So
right.
good for him. I want to help him out with these books, you know? So that's what I was saying. Hopefully we can have them back around when it's time to put in some orders and we can get some traffic DCBS style and some pre-orders on those books or whatever. But
okay.
Cool, man. It's 10 o'clock for me.
Right. It's 1 o'clock for me.
You want to keep going a little bit?
What I know people like shelfies. Do you have any shelfies? Do you have still custom bound shelfies in the chamber at all?
There's still custom bound shelfies in the chamber. There's still regular shelfies in the chamber too. Maybe we should go to the regular ones first.
Sure.
Because these are people that I think have been waiting for a while to see their stuff on air.
Yeah.
What is this one?
I think that sounds good.
All right, we did that one. Yeah, let's hammer a couple out real quick if you want.
Sure.
Did we do this one? I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead. And this is Ivan. This is Ivan's collection. Let me get this set up for us. I like it already. All right. Let's see if we can make this work.
Okay. First thing I see is Woody.
Yeah, I see Woody too.
I see Woody a lot. That's awesome.
There we go.
Oh, look at all that Judge Dredd. Who is this?
Ivan A.
Ivan A.
Ivan A. Look at all that Judge Dredd. How much of that do you need, Jess?
Sorry?
How much of that do you need?
Oh my gosh, look at all that Judge Dredd. That's amazing. I don't unless I have some of, it looks like he's got, okay. Now
what are these? These are like really thick trade paperbacks, it looks like.
Yeah, those are the case files.
People's OCD have got to be going crazy. Look at the way they're lined up on the spine.
Now there's a big gap there between 14 and 24, which I'm not familiar enough with Judge Dredd to know what's going on there. But those case files are really good to have because it's pretty much all the stuff that's been put out. And he's got a lot of them. I think it goes up to 35 so far. So that's a beautiful.
So these are all the same thing. It's just that the trades just got smaller over time.
It looks like it. Yeah, the case files got skinnier. I don't know what maybe there's less material being published now, but or they're putting less into the volumes. But that's weird. 11 and 10, 11 and 12 are completely different sizes. Yeah, somebody with a spine disorder is going to be upset.
Yeah, I mean that stuff doesn't really I don't usually notice and or care, but this is really just noticeable. But
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love his Toy Story figures. So
yeah, Buzz is really cool.
Yeah,
locking up on his name.
We got down here. We got a nice little Deadpool shelf. Got an awesome. Look at this. We got not one but dos Kyle Rayner.
I was just going to say you must be happy with this shelf.
Yes, sir.
That Kyle Rayner figure right next to the Flash is really cool looking.
Yeah, I like that one. This other one here is all right.
Yeah.
But this one here that's my Kyle. No, I think that's Hal. That's gross. I think the other one's Hal. That's why it's so terrible.
Oh, well, that's a standout.
Yeah. But this Kyle one is great. I love the costume. He's got that cool green effect going on. I want that figure. Or I want a cool Kyle Rayner figure now.
Yeah, I kind of want that figure too.
You got the JLA trade paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Is it number 5, like the impossible one to find?
It's tough to find. Yeah, that's the one with Tower of Babel in it by Mark Waid.
That's like some of the best stuff out of that run.
Yeah, that is extremely hard to find. Number 5 now.
I have the regular like Tower of Babel JLA like trade, a little tiny like thin one. That's just Tower of Babel.
That's such a good story.
These are some cool figures he's got going on here. Look at that Carnage, is great. There's a Spider-Man shelf with a little bit of Flash thrown in the middle. He's got, I can see under the bed is the Gotham Central Omnibus.
Oh, I didn't know where you were looking. Yeah.
Can't be an omnibus collector if you don't have a stack of books on the floor.
I agree.
Yeah, it's all the Nightwing stuff there. Good
Ooh,
stuff.
I need that. That is a gaping hole in my collection. Is Nightwing by Chuck Dixon.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You don't have any of it?
No.
No.
I really need to. Somebody was selling a set on the page the other day, and I was too late.
Are they hard to come by?
I think various ones are hard, and various ones are sort of. They're all out of print. Hard to find wise. It depends on which book.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, he was selling the whole run, and that would have been just a bonus to be able to buy that.
Speaking of hard to find and going for a lot of money, he's got that amazing Spider-Man, the JMS Volume 1 here.
Volume 1, okay.
Yeah.
Has Omar said anything about that getting reprinted, or
not that I've heard yet. Maybe. Okay. I mean, these things are going out of print so fast and is shooting up in price so fast. But with Omar, it seems like we're all very much in touch with this, and we all report to one another. And he does a really good job of bringing that back to Marvel and getting stuff put back as a restock.
Right.
So maybe I can see it happening. I wouldn't say no, but you never know. That's like a $300 book right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Jiminy crickets! It just came out.
I know. I think that's it for Ivan. Thank you, Ivan.
Ivan, very nice. Judge Dredd.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And JMS1.
No, going over 200. I guess you talk about the JMS. That's still a lot of money for that omnibus.
Yeah.
That's good money right there.
Ben Ryley 1 was going for over 200 too. I have to feel like Marvel's gonna put another pressing of these out.
Maybe. I mean, it's funny because the Ben Ryley stuff is part of the Clone Saga that people like. You have to hate that. Like, if you're a comic book reader, you're like, it's a prerequisite that you hate the Clone Saga.
Right.
But obviously that can't be true if the omnibus is sold out and out of print and catching $200 on eBay. Even the volume 2 for Ben Ryley is out of print.
That went out of print that day, right?
It sold out that day. Yeah, I don't think we saw a restock of it.
It is so weird that this is happening right now during this crisis. It feels like there's extra, or there's been a huge wave of new collectors coming in, or with money and just buying up everything. It seems like, or older collectors, not elderly collectors, but collectors that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, like us.
It feels like they're the publishers are underestimating, and they're still shipping out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because IST says they're ordering more than they ever have, and they're still running out.
Yeah, they can't keep up. They can't keep up, and people keep saying, "How come they just don't order more?" It's like, well, they order as much as they think they could sell, and obviously they're underestimating their numbers.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous thing. You don't want to. I've been there in the ordering budget situation. You don't want, the worst thing you can do is over order. Under ordering is fine. You know, if you sell out, you sell out. That's good. But you don't want to have, 100 copies of some book sitting in IST's warehouse that's never going to move. Nobody wants that. But you want to do another one?
Sure.
All right. Here's a quick one. This is a one photo one, but again, like we're getting towards the end of the first wave.
Okay.
Of the collection shelfies. Then we can start doing the custom bounds and then maybe get into the second wave of.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Good.
Where am I?
Look at the empty space. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I like about this. Is how open. One, I like it because he's got the Infinity Gauntlet box set. But,
okay.
But look at all this open space. He's got. I don't know how long he sent this in, and maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Jacob from Slovakia. So this is an international. Yeah, this is an international collection.
Wow, it's hard to get books, I imagine, in Slovakia.
I would think so. I mean, I always hear how difficult it is to get a book.
Yeah.
Outside of the United States, even Canada.
Right.
I know they have a hard time getting stuff.
He's got some nice stuff.
He does got some nice stuff, and now he's got all these cool Lord of the Rings novels up here on the top shelf. But let's talk more about how cool that Infinity Gauntlet box set is. I think it's awesome. He's got that Art of Jim Lee book up there. And he seems to be a DC-centric reader. Because he's got a lot of the DC Omnis.
He's got Silver Surfer by Dan Slott. That's a good book.
He's also got the three Nightfall Omnis.
I was ignoring those. Oh, he's got 7 Soldiers. That's good. That's out of print. 52's out of print.
Justice League Darkseid War. That's out of print.
Where is that? I didn't.
Right next to Seven Soldiers.
Oh, okay. Gotham Central. Great book. That's out of print.
Yeah, beautiful book. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Batman.
Yeah.
Like this is all stuff that like when he sent this picture in, it might have been just kind of newer. But now a lot of this stuff is gone. Batman Eternal. That Scott Snyder Batman book, I know that's gone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think that's been long gone for a while.
I want Batman and Robin Eternal. That would be great.
New 52 Deathstroke. He's got all the Teen Titans books.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of Marvel right down there.
Yeah. There's some good Marvel stuff down here.
Daredevil, right?
Peter David Hulk, Silver Surfer by Dan Slott. Those are some big out-of-print books right now. I think the volume 1 of Peter David Hulk, I think Omar said that there was going to be like a restock of that coming up sooner or later.
That's good.
Shadowland.
That's due for a read from me. At least the main story, so I can get to the Mark Waid.
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah, I kind of want to finish up the Daredevil read through as well. I think I made it through Brubaker stuff. Or maybe I'm in the second omnibus for Brubaker. I don't know. I love this Garth Ennis Punisher. That's a great book, too.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Patrol. Jack Kirby's Fourth World. And then we see these a lot in people's collections. This, I don't know what it is, but I always see right here next to the Fourth World Omnibus. I always see these on people's shelves. It seems to be an international thing, too.
Yeah. Who are the characters? Is that a DC thing?
It's a DC thing. Because I see that's Sinestro. I can see Wonder Woman.
Okay, that's who.
Yeah, all the spines line up and make a really cool image. I've seen it on people's shelves before.
Yeah.
Flash by Jeff Johns. That's the second one today we've seen. That seems to be popular. That's when I'm surprised. I'm surprised DC doesn't have more out of print books, especially like Jeff Johns' Flash. I thought that would have disappeared really, really quick. Sandman 1 and 2. Some great stuff here. Oh, here's something you don't see a lot, but I like seeing the Brian Azzarello Wonder Woman stuff, whether it's an omnibus or the absolute. I always like seeing that on people's shelves.
Yep. One of the highlights of New 52.
Yeah.
What I wonder what the subject matter is in those Matching Spine UK books.
I don't know what these are.
Well, they're saying the chat's saying those are Eagle Moss DC graphic novels. So I wonder if that's a. I know the Deadpool. They do a Deadpool one like that. But I wonder what the subject, if it's with Sinestro and Wonder Woman. I don't know.
Well, the Sinestro's like, I mean, it's just a spine image, but I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, like 4 books make up the Sinestro image. So I don't know if that's all Green Lantern related or if it's just one big image of, because it's Alex Ross art. So I don't know if it's just one big image of Alex Ross art and they just split it up where it lands. But yeah, I'm not sure what's in these books.
And who is this again?
This is Jacob from Slovakia.
Slovakia, right.
Slovakia, yeah.
Iku says they are a subscription thing with a lot of DC stories and such. Sold separately later. Oh, subscription. I think Hayden gets the Deadpool ones. Hayden.
Rudy says they're best of stories.
Oh, they're best of stories. Okay.
That seems kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah, he says he has the Earth 1 Superman of those.
Okay.
All right. So knocked out a couple shelfies.
Nice.
You got any plans for today, Jess?
I have the afternoon to myself. My wife is out getting her hair done, and I think I am going to watch more Batman the animated. Taylor, gosh darn you. I know you're not even watching it. I'm going to watch Batman the animated series. I want to get about 4 of those watched so I can then go watch the one that you guys all say is so great, the short ones with Swamp Thing and Jonah Hex and
oh yeah, those DC ones. Yeah,
I want to see that, but I need to knock out a couple of BTAS first. So that's my afternoon. Taylor, you don't even have the TV on. Be quiet.
Gabe, what's your top 2 Silver Surfer epics?
That's a good question.
Let me see real fast.
Mr. Awesome, what episode are you on? Says, what episode are you on BTAS? See, I'm on the 2nd disc. Where's my... Oh, I didn't bring my phone. That has a list of what I've read and what my thoughts are. I think I'm a couple past. I'm 2 or 3 past Mr. Freeze episode.
Brian, you've missed a lot, man. We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. We had the awesome Frank Gogol, the writer of Dead End Kids, No Heroin, upcoming Dead End Kids 2. He's coming and talking about his books. We did a couple shelfies, and now we're doing a little bit of just Q&A. We're kind of winding down the show today. I got stuff to do today too. Just as busy, and I got to start packing up the house a little bit.
Oh, that's right. You guys are moving into a new house soon?
Not quite. I got approved for the home loan, so now we're gonna start looking at houses.
Okay.
And we gotta get our house on the market too, because we're gonna have to do it where it's like, hey, we want to buy your house, but you have to wait for our house to get sold so that we have the money.
Contingency.
The contingency. So for that to work, we have to get the house on the market. So we got to kind of might as well start packing up a little bit. I got to really just declutter my collection, and I got a bunch of boxes and stuff, so I'm ready to start packing stuff up. So to get the house in order, start taking pictures, get that put up. So, that's what's going on there. Gonna move out of this house, sell this house, and get a bigger one. Is the plan. So
get a bigger one.
So soon I'll be able to get my own comic book room again.
So that's what that is good. So that's one of the goals, is to get your own comic book room.
The game plan for the next house is I get my own room and we get a decent sized backyard.
Okay.
That's the game plan.
You need that for the kids.
Need that for the kids. Yeah. We got a tiny backyard here, and they always want to go out and play, and it's just like it's nothing you can do back there. It's all rocks for the most part, so there's not a lot of fun. So I'm going to try and get one that has some kind of landscaping.
Something where you can put a big swing set.
Yeah, a big swing set. But these kids got so much energy. We got to just let them burn themselves out, So somebody asked what my favorite Silver Surfer epics are, and I'm going to kind of have to take a look and see. I think I'm going to have to 100% go with Volume 1 when Galactus calls, because this is all the early first appearances of Silver Surfer. So it's like Fantastic Four. You get the Galactus trilogy in here, and some other really great Fantastic Four issues, Tales to Astonish stuff. So that's one's really good. I'll go with that. Now it comes the hard part, because once you get deeper into the story or this run to Silver Surfer, you get to like the Ron Mars stuff. That's when you start hitting the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, the Thanos quest stuff. That's out of order. Oh my God, there's just so much good stuff in the Silver Surfer. How many are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 epics.
Nice.
For the Silver Surfer, which I thought was impossible. I never thought I'd see these things start to get published, or reprinted in collected editions.
The collector, I got my Batman animated and Batman Beyond on Amazon. That's where I'm finding the cheapest Blu-rays of everything that I've been getting to be is Amazon. There could be Blu-ray.com or something out there with better prices, but I don't know. Amazon has just had a lot of good selection for me as someone who's really just starting out in animated stuff. They've had a really good selection.
I'd probably say the Infinity Gauntlet is probably my second favorite, because this is the stuff that ties in with the Infinity Gauntlet stuff. It's the aftermath of Infinity Gauntlets. It's, you get Ron Mars, you get Ron Lim, you get just amazing stuff here. Lots of good stuff in this one, for sure. I think the only other place this is, I don't know if this is printed in the Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus, or if I think it's in the Infinity Gauntlet box set. But
I was about to ask that.
But what I like about these epics is the cool kind of just like extras that they put in here, like pinup galleries. They always throw in like these really cool. They really go back in the files. They look, here's a cool cover to Wizard number 5. So
Wizard.
Yes. Here's a Black Silver Surfer. Maybe that's the first appearance of that Silver Surfer Black. It's kind of pimp slapping him around a little bit. Great stuff in this one. This is some good stuff. There's so much.
Oh, that's the Infinity Gauntlet one.
Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet Volume 7. I mean, even the newest one that came out is really cool too. Resurrection. This is deep into Ron Mars' stuff, and you got some great Adam Warlock stuff in here. You get some great Mephisto stuff in here as well. This is all way after Infinity Gauntlet. But they skipped over my favorite era. This is Volume 9. It'll probably be Volume 8 with the Herald ordeal, where all the Heralds, all the Galactus Heralds kind of team up and go on some quests and some missions to help out Galactus. Oh, this is cool. You just get cool stuff in these. These epics are my favorite. So. All right, Jess.
Yeah, Brian Meenan is in the chat. He is an epic maniac. He loves epics. World of Black Hammer Library Edition Volume 1 was on IST, and it sold out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, things are really selling out of in-stock trades super fast.
And they are ordering as much as they possibly can, and they've hired more people, and its stuff is still selling out. They are just not able to get enough product.
Yeah. Well, I think even if they were to order more, it would still sell out. It's still, I mean, there's always more people after this stuff. It seems like.
You might be right. Yeah.
Let's say, just pretend numbers. Just say they order 100 copies of a book. Like let's say they ordered 100 copies of Black Hammer. It sold out super quick, and they could have sold more. You know, there's always still people after, and if they ordered 110 copies, you know, they did 10% more, it would have sold out either way. There's probably another 60 people looking for that book, just in the group alone.
Yeah. InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add 2% to that. InStock Trades is kind enough to give us a $50 gift card at the end of every month to give away to viewers like you. And you can win that gift card no matter where you live in the world. You just have to pay for shipping. And speaking of shipping, ordering $50 or more worth of books in the United States gets you free shipping, which is amazing. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com. .com.
Brian says he needs 10 epics. I need less than 10 epics now, having only started collecting about 5 or 6 months ago.
Have them all?
Yeah, because there's like 130-ish.
Holy guacamole. Wow. Wow.
That is pretty crazy.
Belton Brosger. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Do you know anything about reprinting Top 10 Tom Strong Promethea? I know Promethea got deluxe editions. That's the most I've seen. I personally think those are the 3 best things Alan Moore's ever written. So I agree they need reprints. I especially would love to see Tom Strong in an absolute or something, or big oversized hardcovers, because that's a weird way they released it, with 2 hardcovers and then a bunch of trades.
Yeah.
My answer is I don't know. I wish.
Yeah, Promethea just had they recently came out with 2 deluxe hardcovers.
I think the third one just came out.
Okay, so they're all three of them out then. So that's gonna be your best bet. Top 10. They did the 1 absolute, and that's it. And that's an old absolute. That's like one of the first absolutes, I think. Nothing about. I haven't seen anything about Tom Strong ever, other than like what Jess did, is like those 2 like small hardcovers and a bunch of like trade paperbacks that they did. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like Jess said, hopefully they should. I don't know what's holding it up. I don't know if it's something to do with some kind of bad relationship, possibly with Alan Moore and reprinting his stuff. I don't know what to say, but
yeah, they reprinted Swamp Thing, no problem.
Yeah.
Wait, I just heard my phone go off. Where the heck is my phone? Oh.
Curtis has 154. So that means there's over 150, 160 epics right now. Jeepers. I love the epics, man. They're so good. They're so good. This week is
Promethea. I know 3 has been solicited.
They're saying that Promethea and hardcover is not worth it, paper quality.
Well, that's all you're getting. Unless you find it in trade paperback.
Yeah. Or if you want to go get the absolutes, the first one's this crazy, crazy whale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about Promethea. I know book 3, if it's not out yet, it's coming out soon. But top 10 is so good and criminally hard to find. I don't even know if the trades are hard to find. They might be.
That top 10 absolute, I think, was the first thing I ever bought off the Facebook group.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. God, what was that?
5 years ago?
5 years ago, yeah. Yeah, that's about the time when I first moved into this house.
Mm.
How long I've been here. Housing market, just saying, at least in Vegas, is skyrocketing.
Is it?
Even during the pandemic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you picked a good time to sell your house then.
Well, that's kind of what brought it up. I was like, man, this is going for so much. Why not take that? There's some good equity in this house, and I could just roll that over into a bigger house and hopefully put enough of that equity into the next house where I can buy down my mortgage and, keep it the same that I'm paying now, or maybe a little bit more, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
And
a better side of town. That's what I really want. We need to get to a better side of town. I live in a nice area, like a nice neighborhood, but once you leave my neighborhood, I've said it before, like I got to drive through like Crackhead Central to get to my house.
Yeah, that's awful.
And it's getting closer and closer. It's moving closer to my area.
Oh, you better get out of there.
Especially with the pandemic started, I started noticing like it hasn't happened, but it happened once where my area is gated, but there was a guy passed out outside of the gated area. And that's getting a little too close for me.
That is, yeah. And interest rates are crazy low right now.
Yeah, it's below 3%.
That's amazing.
About 3%. Because dude, right before the pandemic, like at the beginning of March, I refinanced this house, and I think I refinanced it down to 3.25.
Wow.
315. I can't. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And it's even lower now. And I'm like, oh, it's everything is just stacking up the right way. Let's do it. I get my own room again. Holy crap.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
You definitely need it.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so excited.
Yeah. Every guy needs a sanctuary.
Yeah, I started realizing that after a while. It's like, I think that's a guy thing. Where it's like we need our own space. Like it's either like the garage is our own space, or like a man cave. Mm-hmm. There's something built into men where we just need to be just still with the family, but just one step outside at times.
Yeah,
it feels like
just where we can tune out for just a little bit.
Yeah, and for me, it makes it easier for me to read. If I get up in the middle of the night, I can just go. I'll go to that room and read, because that's what helps me go to sleep. Is if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll just read a couple of comics and fall back to sleep. But I can't do it now, So, yeah, I wish we had basements in Vegas. I'm looking for like the biggest extra bedroom I can find for my comic room. It's going to be like, we're going to start looking at houses tomorrow. Our realtor is going to take us around town to a lot of houses she's shown us already. So we're going to start looking at them in person and see what they look like and feel like in person.
When you find a room that you that looks like the perfect room, make sure you take photos of it, and then when you get home, you can there's a program I think that lets you put furniture in it, virtually, and you can see how many shelves you can get in that room. Like Ryley's walking through a library, the stacks are all over the place.
I'm gonna just measure the room and be like, okay, so that's a Kalax is. I'll do like a Kalax measurement. So I could do like 8 Kalaxes around this room, or whatever. So
yeah.
I don't live in an apartment. I live in a house, but they do have apartment complexes in the U.S. for the most part are gated.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of gated apartment complexes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't remember what it was in 2008, 2009, but it's not as low as it is now. It's ever since the mortgage crisis in 2008 or whatever it was. 2008 is when I bought my first house. And I think the interest rate before the crash was like, God, I want to say like 10%. And then after the crash, I bought my first house. It was like four and a quarter, 4.5, something like that.
2009 is when I refied this house for 4.25.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're saying you can get 3.25 and maybe even better than that.
I think so.
That's some serious savings. That's amazing.
You can look it up. Let's see. Mortgage rates.
That's right. Comics and mortgage rates. We're your one-stop shop.
Jesus, this can't be right. According to U.S. Bank, a 30-year mortgage is 2.875.
Whoa.
Between 2.875 and 2.94.
Holy guacamole. You could you could get a 15-year. What's a 15-year going for?
Let me see what it says.
You could pay that thing off almost right away if you got at that interest rate.
15-year is 2.37, 2.5 APR.
Wow. That is shocking.
Maybe you should look into refinancing your house again, Jess.
I did back in March.
Oh, okay.
And given the cost of it and what we would save, it would be a wash. So we think we just decided not to do it. If we were going to be in this house another 20 years, then yeah, but I don't know that we're going to be in this house another 10 years.
Are you thinking about downsizing now that it's an empty house kind of situation and both of you are retired-ish?
Right. I don't really want to. My wife wants to. And since she wants to, we're going to do it.
As long as you get your own room, Jess, maybe even 2 rooms, because your basement's impressive. So you might need 2 of your own rooms.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I think as long as I think for the next few years we're going to be right here. Brian Meenan's comments funny. I wish I bought a house when I was younger instead of spending every penny on comics and junk food.
Man, when I bought my first house, God, man, I can't believe how much I bought it for and how much like I sold it for. I bought it right when the bubble burst. I got my first house, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It was kind of small, 1,500 square feet, maybe. Maybe less, maybe 12.
That's how big our first house was.
Yeah, 2-story. It was across the street from Sam Boyd Stadium, which is where all the football games were. So I used to always go across the street and tailgate.
Fun.
Yeah, I would literally just walk right across the street, tailgate, get smashed, and walk back home. I bought that house for $88,000.
Wow.
And I think I turned it around and I sold it for $190.
Ooh.
And then I rolled that over into this house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of in the same situation, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Very nice.
Yeah, that was 2008, though. I was 28.
That's pretty darn good to be that age and own your own home at that age. That's impressive, Gabe.
This is going to be my 3rd house I've owned when I moved with this move.
Yeah.
And I was making 2008 maybe 15 an hour. I think I was still working at PlayStation at the time. I mean, 15 an hour, it's like kind of basic now, but back then that was decent money.
Yeah, that was good money back then.
And here's the best part. Here we go. This is the best part. Okay, my apartment. I had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was still my wife and I. We were just dating at the time. That my apartment, my rent was $800. The mortgage on that first house was $600.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like $600 mortgage for this place. I could just go work at McDonald's. Who cares? Who cares? That's nothing. I could do anything and make that mortgage. It's a lot more now, but
yeah. Good grief.
We had no kids. It was just me, her, and the dog. Yeah.
The collector, no, I'm not even moving out of the city. My daughter's 20 minutes from us, and so wherever she is where we're gonna go.
That's good.
So she's staying here, so we'll stay here.
Yeah, guys, if you have a house out there, mortgage rate bros, take a look at your mortgage rate. I think when I refinanced my house in March, I think it cost me it cost me nothing. They just took it out of the equity. It cost me nothing.
Right.
Cost me nothing. I paid off a bunch of credit cards and other little small bills and debt that I had. Nothing crazy, I think I paid off my water softener and things like that. I thankfully don't carry debt that's not good debt, like a house or something like that.
Yeah,
it cost me nothing. I think I even ended up getting a couple $1,000s in my pocket just to fool around with out of it as well. So take a look. Take a look at your mortgage. Take a look at the rate. See what it's going to cost. See what they can do for you. It brought down my mortgage $300-400.
Yeah, even if it costs you $2,500 or $3,000, you'll be making that up in savings in a couple of years.
Yeah.
At that, I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia, just right next to Maryland. Yeah, if I would definitely refinance if I knew we were going to be in this house another 10 years.
You had to have been thinking of that when you did your refinance, huh? Were you thinking about it then? Because then, I know when you're doing a refinance, you start looking at how much your house is worth and how much you owe on it, and the equity, and you're like, oh man, there's this much money we could just. I was half tempted. Just our situation with the kids. If it was different, I'd be like, let's just sell this house, take that $100,000, and just move somewhere else. Take the equity and just move somewhere else. We can move out of country if you wanted to, but not with young kids and stuff like that.
If it wasn't for my daughter living here, we would definitely think about relocating. Someplace, my wife wants someplace with no humidity. And I have to say, that sounds pretty good because humidity is awful here.
Vegas.
I'd be happy anywhere. I wonder if I'd be happy in Utah. Utah's a beautiful state.
Utah's nice. That's one of those places, kind of like Texas, that nobody wants to move to because they think it's full of crazy people, but it's actually a really nice area.
Yeah.
You move to Utah, it's it's beautiful up there. And I think even Salt Lake City is 100,000 people or something like that. It's really small.
And we could, I think the cost of living's really inexpensive in a place like that because it's crazy here.
Oh yeah, because you're right outside of DC, right?
Yeah.
So
housing prices are absurd.
I can imagine. I think we're looking at houses around 380, 400 is our budget. And there's some really nice stuff, especially on the other side of town. I can't wait.
Well, that's going to be important for you to get a new neighborhood then.
Yeah, that's going to be important for sure. For sure. All right, I'm kind of done talking about all this. If you are,
yeah, I don't know that the viewers are all that interested in our mortgage talk. I think it's fascinating, but I don't know that the viewers do. I think I'm going to be following your journey very closely because I'm very interested in what mortgage rate you end up with and the size of your man cave and the backyard. I think that's all going to be interesting and fun. Yeah. But I could live in Wyoming and be happy, I bet.
Yeah, Texas, you get a mansion. You get like a ranch with like acres. Like I don't even know what an acre is. For like nothing. You know, I've looked into it. Like I've looked into Austin and, you know, Houston where Ryley lives. I was like, man, you can really get like some nice places out there. You know? Universe, he'll take 80 with humidity over dry and 120, and no thanks on Vegas.
If it was only 80 with humidity, I'd say yeah, but here we get 90s with humidity, and that is just unbearable. But we're here, so there's nothing I can do about it. That's the way it is.
Yeah, you live and you adapt to the environment. I mean, 120 here in Vegas during the summer, not that bad. It is what it is. You know, air conditioned house, air conditioned car, air conditioned job. I'll take the 120 degree heat over, you know, 15 feet of snow and having to shovel every morning to get to work.
I would like to move into the Pacific time zone because sports are on way too late in the day here. I liked growing up in California because football and baseball were on at reasonable hours. They are on way too late here.
Yeah, what are they on? Like 6, 7 o'clock here at the latest?
Well, the games today start at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and then there's Sunday night football, which is at 8:30. And if you have to work and you want to watch it, I mean, you're up until 11:30 at least. Same with Monday night football. Then like playoff games in the World Series, those things start at 8 o'clock, and that's way late. And then the West Coast or the Pacific time zone, that 3-hour difference makes all the difference in the world. You catch baseball at 5 and 10 a.m. football games on a Sunday. That is awesome to wake up to.
It's weird because that's like the only time I really kind of hang out at the bars with my friends during football season.
And
yeah, you go to the game like, you know, Sunday morning or whatever. It's like 10 a.m. and like, you know, you're knocking back a couple brews already. Like 10 a.m. I'm drinking and it's okay.
Well, that's a football game, sure. Yeah. No rules on that.
Yeah, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, Jess, let's go ahead and end this. Thanks to everybody watching.
Thank you to InStockTrades.com. Thank you to our fabulous sponsor.
And we'll be back tomorrow with reads, hauls, and previews. It's a light week this week, but there's some good stuff out there, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. 5 a.m. Pacific time or 5 p.m. Pacific time. See, if you're on Pacific time, Jess, you'd be doing a show at 5. No, or is it? Fuck. What time do we do the show on Mondays?
8 our time, my time, 5 your time.
Okay, so 5. Yeah, so 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Catch us then. We'll be here tomorrow.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Thank you for watching.
Good night, everybody.